things are accelerating faster than it was 20 years ago. And it is exciting. We're living in very much exciting times where there is this sense of be your own boss, do it yourself. There, especially after COVID, a lot of individuals have left their jobs because they are looking for something more deeper in their purpose, step up and do it themselves. And I think more of us are coming together in communities, like you say, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's co-creating in smaller communities to better the world with what we're bringing through ourselves into the world creatively.
I did mushrooms the other day, and I went to the field with my big speaker, and we were playing like tribal Tibet music. It was the most fulfilling, amazing dance music. Just a didgeridoo and a drum, right? And you felt alive. You felt connected to the tribe. You closed your eyes and you were on the beach with the tribe, and it felt incredible. And then I played Jay-Z Drunk in Love with Beyonce. The difference of energy vibration from the two songs was phenomenal. And then I listened to the Tibetan tribe music, and just how I was feeling, how I wanted to move, was night and day. Without even knowing, we're idolizing, say, a Beyonce model, and not knowing that the music is making us feel like shit.
You said the processed food as well is also making us sick. And the thing is, the more we are churning out and detoxing, all the other foods and things that we're putting inside no longer is compatible. No wonder we're getting more sick. Why? Because they're introducing matcha down the road. They're introducing turmeric lattes. We're getting more into that. So a lot of the other things is just not compatible to where we're at in our systems anymore. So there is a purge happening, and it's really about, again, coming back to our natural state of being.
Just quickly, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who still listens to the podcast. I started 4 years ago, and since then I've had over 1 million downloads. I get 5,000 downloads per month, and I've had over 200 different guests. So a massive thank you to everyone who still listens. If you could please do me a favour, if you could rate and review the podcast, that would be amazing, because it helps get the podcast out to new, conscious people like yourself. And my goal is to awaken as many people around the world. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's YesKingOliver, should you wish to see what I get up to on my day-to-day moments. Back to the episode.
So around the world, I'm seeing civilizations and countries collapse, and I feel like we're all longing for one small thing, and it's the same universally, and it is community. And I'm somebody who didn't have that growing up, and as a result, I was all about me going out to get what I want. Now I live in community. I can't even imagine not living without community. And I think how I would feel just living on my own in a place like most people do, and I compare to what it's like living in community and just having people around you who get you all the time, even if you're not necessarily speaking all the time, just being in their presence, just sitting with them, laying with them, witnessing them living their life. It is profound. And the amount of healing that has happened as a result of living in community is absolutely phenomenal. And when I see the pain around the world of loneliness and depression and anxiety, it all comes back from not having your support network around you, not having your people around you that understand you and get you and can hear you when you need to be heard. And I can see the world changing very soon, which is everyone's going to start coming back to local and small communities and small tribes, and we will no longer need corporations anymore. For example, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. We don't need banks anymore. It will all be exchanging between ourselves. We'll create our own coin, and that's our exchange, which is how it used to be. And before companies and organizations took over small towns, they used to be run by locals, and that's what's going to happen. It's going to do a full circle, and I can't wait for that to happen. That's it. Your thoughts?
Is it me?
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think definitely the times that we're in at the moment is exciting. It's really like the old is definitely leaving us, and it's really about rolling with the times and not being afraid to seek out for help if we are confused, if we're lost, if we have doubts. And like you said, coming into community where we can feel seen, heard, and really be honest and authentic with where we're at, even when we don't agree with where the times are going, even if we don't agree with the new ways. And it's about having that authenticity and being supported within that, and also being open to perspectives, which is what real communities are helping us to do, to open our eyes in a way that is supportive, and to be able to see what's coming ahead, and to be able to prepare ourselves and to really show up in a way that's new for us, in a way that we can pioneer something new collectively together. Because the old ways, they are slowly dying, and it's up to us to be able to show up, to be able to accept that it's coming, to be able to receive what's coming through, and to be able to be truly honest and authentic with ourselves of how this newness is going to affect us individually and collectively.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So when I think about, like, when people travel around the world, they go and find their local tribe, say in Bali, Thailand, Vietnam, Sri Lanka. Well, all of these people, they do already exist where we live, right? There's many people like us individually who are longing for, or used to long for, our tribe. It is there. And so when people go to these other countries to find these people and then they leave those places, they feel like they have to go and then live in those places. And it's like our tribe is literally here, but we don't even know it. And as
Mm.
people start to connect and find each other and build this unity, they become powerhouses. Like the amount of energy transformation that people in my community are going through, we are literally charging ourselves from each other. And as a result, charging each other just from being around each other. And we're literally jumping 30 years ahead of time in terms of healing and empowerment. And I just think if everyone else could live in their own communities, not necessarily conscious, but just people finding their own people that they actually connect with, rather than just living in places where they're just other people, man, the difference with consciousness and the energy field on the earth would be absolutely profound.
Absolutely. And I think what it is, because we see how communities are thriving outside of our own community, we just want to pack up and leave. However, it is the communities around us that need serving. It is the communities around us that is, screaming to be lifted, and they don't even know it because there's so much in their conditioning, their suffering, that they don't see it. And if you have the information, if you have the knowledge, if you have the wisdom, it is our responsibilities to be able to go into our communities and lift them up. And we don't have to go guns blazing. We meet them where they're at, and we become the bridge to the light, to where it's supposed to be going, and how we are guiding them. We're no longer just a citizen. We're no longer just an individual within something. We are showing up in a way that is going to bring more light, to bring more attention, awareness to communities, by having really open, radical conversations, and building that self-trust, because everything on our external is a reflection of what's going on internally. So if we are not seeing what we're wanting to see, we need to, you probably heard this, be the change that you want to see. We have to start with that first. Charity begins at home. We have to start with who is our nearest and dearest, and where can we begin to have some really true, honest conversations that opens up minds, that stimulates critical thinking, and so forth.
Yeah, so what's coming to mind is I was walking along the high street and there is just litter everywhere. Like, you can't get worse. It's just everywhere. And I'm like calling the council, like, okay, you can clean the streets. And they're like, we haven't got the budget for the bin man to clean the streets because the budget needs to go elsewhere. And that's when it suddenly hit me. What is stopping people getting their litter picking stick and their black sack and just all picking up 10 bits of litter every day, there's 3,000 people living in the area. If everyone did 10 bits of litter every day, there would be 0 litter in the street. So rather than relying on somebody above to come and help us and fix us, and governments and systems, why can't people just get on with the stuff themselves that they want to change? And that's the paradigm shift, where we've gone from living locally in small tribes to big organizations and governments taking over, saying, okay, for the better of the majority, we will create systems and rules and regulations to benefit everybody, which don't work because there's too many people. And now we're realizing that they're outsourced, they're outnumbered, they haven't got enough money, they haven't got enough people to serve the community. So now it's stop waiting for someone at the top to hand you down what you need. Go and do it yourself. And like you're saying, looking after your own community, we don't need to necessarily build more communities or travel to another country to find them. It starts by serving your own community on your doorstep, asking your neighbor, what do you need from me? I can see the grass is a bit long. Are you struggling? Like, are you busy working? Like, maybe I could cut the grass for you. Or, oh, your kid needs picking up from school. Let me do it so you can have a nap. That's what we used to do and have come from. And this litter picking is a fine example. We've bought litter picking sticks, and literally months and months and months go past, and the same litter is there. Even when you call the council and say, can you remove these bags that we've put to the side from litter, still there. So it's like, stop moaning and relying on governments and people and do it yourself. And then once you get this sense of community and nourishment from serving your own doorstep, you won't want to depend on anybody ever again. And that's a paradigm shift. We don't need to depend on anybody apart from ourselves and our community, and it starts next door.
I mean, we live in a lazy culture. If you think about how convenient everything is, how we can just order something to our homes immediately without even stepping out the house anymore. And really, it's about coming back to self-responsibility, self-accountability. But a lot of us don't want to do that because we'd rather be gaming, we'd rather be scrolling, we'd rather be not doing the things. And we've actually lost a drive in our culture to get up and do things. And like you say, picking up litter, like I said before, charity begins at home. You want to go out and help others, but you can't even help yourself in your own environment. What does that say about moving forwards? And being an example of what you're about.
Literally last night, right? We went blackberry picking, and camera. Last night we went blackberry picking, and we walked along the river. It was like 30 degrees in the evening in the UK. Blackberry picking. It was so fun, so rewarding. And then we just went on longer walks, and then we found a grapevine. And then we started seeing nettle plants and how we could make nettle tea. And we spent 2.5 hours just literally chatting with friends, finding blackberries, eating them and having a laugh, talking about this is what communities are missing. Most people are at home right now watching TV, Netflix, doing nonsense, and we're out blackberry picking. But this is what's actually really fulfilling. I was joking and saying, most of my mates will be down the pub right now drinking. I'm litter picking. How sad. And that's when I realized that's not sad, because who's the happy one? You're down the pub drinking. You're not probably happy. You probably hate your wife. That's why you're down the pub drinking. I'm picking up litter. Yes, I could be like, why is the council not doing this? Or, you should be doing this. Why are you not doing this? Or I could do it for me and how it makes me feel by doing that small task. And that's just 2 tasks. Blackberry picking for free, litter picking is for free. There is so much stuff we can do to give us that wholeness that simply Netflix and social media isn't doing. And it literally starts by leaving your front door and being part of that community right there.
The thing is, though, these types of digital social media things are there to distract us. It's there to keep us procrastinating, not doing anything. It's there to keep us stuck, and actually it's about waking up to thinking, actually, is this actually serving me? What actually requires doing in order to clear my mind, to develop much more, not just mental health, mental development, so I'm not stuck in my ways and I keep continuing to move forwards. If I see something that requires doing rather than just staying stagnant, reaching out to somebody, hey, let's do this together. Let's make this an activity that we can benefit and make it fun. Like if you were to put a spin on it and make an activity that's exciting, that involves music, that involves community, then I'm sure it's going to shift the mindset. It's going to shift someone's perspective into getting off their seat to do something. However, it does start with the individual. It does start with, what do we really want to see in this world, and what action steps can we do towards seeing that? Micro steps as well, like even picking up 3 pieces of litter a day is better than nothing. So I think it's about breaking up the bigger picture and turning it into actionable daily steps, so it doesn't seem overwhelming or doesn't seem like a massive chore. And you'd be surprised of how much you can actually shift. And this is about, decluttering our environments, because the clutter actually lives within ourselves. And the more we get to, slow down, breathe, and connect with yourself and find actually what I can actually do a micro shift in myself today to make an external shift happen, we'd see results.
Yeah, and what's amazing is that even though other cities and towns can't see, say, all of us picking up the litter, our energy is having a ripple effect,
Right.
Our energy is affecting other people that aren't even in our proximity. So the fact that we are changing that frequency to want to pick up the litter, other people are feeling it as well. They don't know why. They may unconsciously see that the roads have less litter, but they're feeling it. And so now they're getting the feeling and the thoughts to also do it. And they don't even know why. Collective consciousness. Before you know it, it's a ripple effect across the UK, where more people are seen picking up litter than dropping. And that's where like the seesaw effect happens, where the change goes from people just littering because there's loads of litter versus, oh, there's no litter, I can't throw my bottle, I actually want to pick up that bottle over there. And that's collective consciousness.
Yeah. And complementing that, it's really about like how you show up in your own environment, in your own self, your own vibration, because that's what influences. Everything that we do has an influence. You can have like 1 million followers but not be that influential when you actually meet somebody. It's down to how you show up for yourself, your values, and that has a ripple effect, and that's what influences others to be able to lean in rather than preach to somebody saying you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And clean cities is where it's at, but cleanliness, hygiene, spiritual hygiene all starts with us, and it starts within, in order to see the external change and shift.
Yeah. Where do you think everything's going in terms of governments are going to be no longer as responsible for the small things on the ground? Will it always be them taking control, or will there be a change where we just do our own thing and therefore government resources are no longer needed because we're doing it ourselves? They don't need a budget for litter because we're doing it.
I definitely think that things are accelerating faster than it was 20 years ago, and it is exciting. We're living in very much exciting times where there is this sense of be your own boss, do it yourself. There are, especially after COVID, a lot of individuals have left corporate, have left their jobs because they are looking for something more deeper in their purpose. They're looking to allow their gifts to shine, and they realize that they can't do it in corporate. They can't do it under somebody else. They have to step up and do it themselves. And I think more of us are coming together in communities, like you say, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's co-creating in smaller communities to better the world with what we're bringing through ourselves into the world creatively. And I think there is this I think also corporations, they are becoming more receptive because they are seeing that we want different things. We don't want the same. We're not looking to do, and we all have a voice now. We have a voice where we can go online and express what's going on with ourselves, and through that expression it allows others to develop communities, to bring our voices up, to be like, no, we don't want this anymore. So I definitely think that the old ways, like I said previously, are falling away, crumbling away. And also there is this co-creation happening between corporate and non-corporate. So it is exciting to see where this is going. I think it's definitely about keep putting one foot in front of the other, taking self-responsibility, accountability, doing what is necessary for the times now, and getting out of your comfort zones, getting and looking at your blind spots, looking at the areas that are holding you back. Because unless we continue with a daily practice with that, we're going to easily go back to our ways that feel comfortable rather than things that help us to push us forwards.
So yeah, I did a weed gummy for the first time, and it was an 8-hour experience where I felt like I was observing myself, observing reality. And one of the things that I kept saying was, I'm conscious of the fact that I'm conscious of myself, that I am no, it was that I was conscious of myself, that I was conscious. And it was like I could keep saying it many times in different order. And it was about seeing myself, becoming aware of myself, becoming, seeing myself. And it gave me perspective of this different reality, which is what we see in front of us is just the reality that we've always known. So therefore we just see it like that. But taking the weed gummy allowed me to sort of be in my body and see everything in front. And that my thoughts of how I'm seeing my reality in front is just how I've always known. And it's not real. So when you mix that to like paradigm shifts and narratives, you realize that everything is just a paradigm shift and everything is a narrative that we've always known. But there's millions of different paradigms right there. So taking like mushrooms or something like that to help you see that, well, the reality is still the same. The only difference is that you've taken something and you're seeing it differently. But my environment is still the same. Those people there are still the same. But it allows me to tap into a different consciousness. So when you look at it like that, you realize that nothing is permanent forever. Anything can change at any point. And often when you take these hallucinogenics, you remember the experience and what you felt. And you have the ability to remember what that was like and tune into that without being on those substances. But again, the reality is still there. So when you apply that to life, you realize everything is just a second away from changing based on how you now see a situation.
Absolutely. I think also when you are taking these substances, you're taking it as ceremony, as nothing to it, something that you're not escaping to, rather than something to receive, like these divine downloads that you're able to integrate it, rather than churning it out every 2 weeks.
Yes.
And through that integration, that's where you're going to see more of these shifts happen, because it becomes embodied. It's no longer just oh, I've had this trip or I've had this experience, let me go back. And it's not self-indulgent anymore, because the moment you step out and you allow that divine flow to come through, you're bringing in something new. You're then helping to shift communities, shift perspective, shift lives without you even knowing much about it, because you're being an embodiment, you're being a conduit to that. And what I see constantly is this escapism to run away rather than show up, take self-responsibility, accountability to where you're at, and then keep it moving. However, some of us, we don't have the support that we require, which is why it's important when you say coming into community, it's like, who can really support me on this to integrate? Who can really support me on this, that, and the other, so that the visions I'm getting and what I'd like to bring into the world, that I can, number one, validate them first, number two, receive the support, number three, take the action steps to make it happen, number four, make the impact and see the results happen.
Yeah, someone in the community went through call it a situation/episode, which other people will think, oh my God, they're absolutely crazy. But we knew that she was just releasing some energy and trauma and stuff that needed to come up that was suppressed, because when they were younger, they didn't have the safe space to let that out, or their parents didn't understand. So they just held it in, and we just witnessed them and held them, let them go through it, said nothing. everyone was in silence. We knew exactly what to do, which is just witness, let them get through it, be there, create a safe container, and when they're done, if you want to talk about it, you can. When you see how many people take these substances to escape their reality versus the conscious people who take these substances to expand their reality, to bring up their shit so they can work on it. So essentially, they don't need any substances.
Yeah.
Again, it's a complete different life and mindset. And if you think how many people now do cocaine, cocaine is the new weed, right? Weed is the new cigarettes. And, you know, no one drinks alcohol anymore, right? But if you think how many people who do these substances to escape reality, if they did, for example, just mushrooms, how different their life would be. They would probably see what a waste of time it is going to the pub every weekend, getting drunk is. And they would change their lifestyle just based on some mushrooms for one event. The power of those drugs to expand your consciousness. People need to expand with that, not the likes of cocaine. And the people who do cocaine especially need to use these hallucinogenics because these are the people that are trapped the most.
And you know, I hear that. I hear that. And I don't blame them because, like, considering the conditions that we've been living under, the indoctrination, all of the things that have been keeping us suppressed on a low vibration, I don't blame them. However, it takes one shift, like we're talking about, to have an impact, to make a change. And it is about holding that medicine within constantly, you know, bringing more light into conversations, you know, sharing light with, you know, strangers or whoever, and continuing that, because one little micro thing is better than nothing. And even though it may open a centimeter in somebody, you're still bringing the light through to make an impact. So everything is appropriate, and it's down to us to keep on, you know, bringing that through the best that we can, showing up, taking responsibility, accountability, and not slacking, you know, and keeping, you know, and keeping those around us who will keep us accountable as well. So because if we want to see these results, we've got to really graft and put in the work.
Yeah, actually, I did mushrooms the other day, and I went to the field with my big speaker, and we were playing like tribal Tibet music, right? And it was just a didgeridoo, and probably somebody stretched out a, you know, dried coconut over a thing and was tapping it, right? And it was the most fulfilling, amazing dance music, just a didgeridoo and a drum, right? And you felt alive, you felt connected to the tribe. You closed your eyes and you were on the beach with the tribe, and it felt incredible. And then I played Jay-Z Drunk in Love with Beyonce, and the dissonance and the like this sickening feeling and the difference of energy vibration from the two songs was phenomenal. And then I think so many people will listen to that type of music, right? And then I listened to the Tibetan tribe music, and just how I was feeling, how I wanted to move, was night and day. And then I was like, holy shit, it's everywhere. Our energy is being depressed and diminished and poisoned everywhere. Constantly. Without even knowing. We're idolizing, say, a Beyonce model, and not knowing that the music is making us feel like shit.
Yeah,
and just that didgeridoo and the drum was phenomenal. And my friend was like, Oliver, I feel sick. Can you turn it off? I'm like, holy shit, I know. And then we played it back, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The hertz, the sound frequencies that you are hearing naturally is a natural rhythmic frequency. Of course, you're going to respond more. You're going to be more receptive to. The other type of music that has been keeping us suppressed and low is keeping us on low vibration. That's why we're hearing it. We're kind of vibing to it, but it's not giving us that aliveness of feeling. And these days, there's a lot of different self-ego frequencies, binaural beats that are coming into the mainstream more, which is helping us to bring us back into our natural alignment. And I definitely think that this is the way forward with music and sound healing especially, and how that's beginning to have such a big wave, because it's tapping back into our natural rhythms. And that's what's beginning to elevate us, and that's why things are moving the way they're moving.
Yeah, and I'm sure you know this, but, you know, the music industry changed the resonance to like 432 or
Yeah,
something, and it's
yeah,
supposed to be like naturally it's like 430 or something like that, or
yeah.
440. And there is a huge difference with those two frequencies. And if you think like most music is of the opposite, which is what they've created, and the dissonance that people feel, even though they're listening and they're dancing, but how their body's reacting is a completely different. And you compare to like these natural, normal sounds, like a static dance music,
Mhm.
and it's like no wonder when you go to a dance how alive you feel, because it's just pure resonance of nature, in terms of those natural frequencies versus the man-made music industry frequencies.
And we're definitely coming out of that. We are definitely coming out of that. If you've noticed, excuse me, hip hop used to be so popular, right? And when they introduced Afrobeats,
Mm.
it brought a different vibration and a frequency, and the lyrics were much more positive. The drums you could hear much more. They had a different rhythm to kind of hip hop beats. And you can see that Afrobeats is becoming more and more popular, and everyone's leaning into that a bit more because it's natural. The rhythms of it, the lyrics, it's more uplifting. So hip hop is not as popular as it used to be, even though it's very much in the mainstream. They are now combining it with Afro beats, and this is exciting because hip hop has been like that for a very long time. And so I'm excited to see how that begins to evolve, with where we're going in terms of the new frequencies that are coming in and how we're waking up with the new light coming through.
But yeah, like what we're hearing, the frequencies are going into our ear, into our brain, down our nervous system. Our cells are responding to those frequencies, and if it's not in balance, if it's not balanced with nature, it's going to create disease.
Yeah,
Half the population gets disease. They get a disease, and it's
yeah.
like, well, it's not a matter of if you get it, it's when. Like how
Mm,
we're living, you got to think, okay, if I don't do the opposite to this, I'm gonna get that disease like people around me are getting. So many people are getting brain tumors and cancer and heart disease at young ages, cardiac arrest for
yeah.
youngsters. It's like, okay, well, I'm no different to anybody. I've got to do some massive changes because as it's going, it looks like everyone's going to get a disease like that. So therefore, we have to go out and do barefoot and do breath work and do
Mhm,
exercise and eat
mhm.
whole foods that aren't processed and stay away from oils and smoking and
Yeah.
alcohol. The whole
Read,
narrative has to change.
yeah, and read the ingredients, whatever you're buying, because there's a lot of false advertising. Lentil chips. You go and look at the ingredients of lentil chips. There's hardly any lentil in it. There's more starches and E numbers and all of that. Those are the things that are getting us sick. There's that. There's the Bluetooth stuff that we're putting in our ears that's frying our brains, and everyone's walking around with little things in our ears. That's also damaging us as well. We are not using our thinking. We're not critically thinking of why we're buying it. We're buying it because we're sheep, because Tom and Jerry has one. We're not slowing down. We're not checking because we're living in this fast-paced society. So it is, and then obviously everything influences everything. So if you purchase something and it's working for you, your friend's going to do the same thing because they trust you. However, they don't know the implications. They don't know what's it's involved in what they're doing. And also, like you said, the processed food as well is also making us sick. And the thing is, the more we are churning out and detoxing, all the other foods and things that we're putting inside no longer is compatible. No wonder we're getting more sick. All the other uh uh what do you call it? Pharmaceutical stuff not agreeing with us anymore. Why? Because they're introducing matcha down the road. They're introducing turmeric lattes. We're more into that. So a lot of the other things is just not compatible to where we're at in our systems anymore. So there is a purge happening. There's definitely a subconscious purge, and it's really about, again, coming back to our natural state of being, slowing down, breathing, connecting, checking in with ourselves, rather than speeding through life.
Yeah, last night I was in the garden at 12 o'clock, right? And I was thinking to myself, how in this community it's all about coming home, doing you, putting
Yeah.
one first. In the outside world, you're classed as selfish if you're not putting yourself first. And interestingly, that's the majority of people, all tuning into the majority of people who are dying to put themselves first and are seeing everyone else putting them first when they want to put them first. So everyone's thinking the same thing. They all want to put themselves first, but they can't because they'd be seen as selfish. It's almost like this made up narrative, which is you should sacrifice yourself and your needs and your happiness for other people. And in the community of consciousness, it's all about you. How do you feel? What do you want to do? In the world of society, it's following what everyone else does. If everyone's going out, you don't want to be left out, so you go. And you didn't want to go out because you got work tomorrow and you need sleep. It is not selfish to put yourself first. You put yourself first and fill your cup up so you are whole and complete. You do all your healing, and then you can empower and change the rest of the world. That is how it should be.
I mean, it's not even selfish. To me, it's self-full. You know, you're filling yourself up. It's nothing to do with fish here.
Nice. I haven't actually heard that before, surprisingly. Self-full.
It's self-full. You
Nice.
you want to fill your tank up. You know, you want to fill it up so that what's in the cup is for you, and what's on the froth is for everybody else. Because if you're someone that keeps giving, there's nothing left. You're not used to anybody. You're not used to yourself. You can't even function in this world. So I'd rather be self-full, you know.
So instead of selfless, you use the word self-full.
Yeah, self-full. We want to be full of ourselves. We want to be we are abundant beings living here. Yeah. Everything before that has taught us and showed us that we have to be small, that we're not good enough, that we're, you know, we should be small, and there's this big thing above us that is telling us we need to do this, that, and the other, until those of us who are waking up, we're actually thinking, and we start questioning and we start using critical thinking and figuring out for ourselves, actually, I can challenge that. And actually it doesn't work for me. And you know, like you said, like, what is it about? What do I require? What is my requirements, rather than what everyone's been telling us our whole lives?
If you had one day left to live, what is the one thing that you would tell the rest of the world?
Keep doing you. Stay in your lane. Mind your business.
Be selfful.
Be selfful.
Anything you want to promote?
So, yeah, I do. I have my new academy starting. It's called the Ministry of Dance and Movement Academy, aka MDMA. Choose your natural high. So it's like we've been talking about, dance movement is medicine for me. It's always been that, and I've got that coming up. I've got courses online and in person, and I've got retreats coming up. Everything I do is to raise vibration.
Hang on, you've cut out. Can't hear
you.
Yeah, I can hear
everything I'm doing is because I've come out of the dark. Yes. And because I've come out of the dark, I realized everybody can come out of the dark. If I can do it, you can do it. And it's important, especially now, that we move out of our stuckness, our comfort zones, our blind spots, and begin to express what's been suppressed over time. And that's what I facilitate others to do through movement, dance, breath, sound, and all of that, so that you can find your own self-expression to be self-full. So that's why I created the academy. That's why I run the retreats. I've got some projects coming up as well. I've also got a convention, a somatic dance convention that I launched in March, and I'm going to be putting it on again. I want to reach out as much as I can by doing different mediums, and that's the way you reach the masses. So those are the things I've got coming up, and I'm excited to welcome those who are ready to take this journey and the step to that place of light.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please remember to subscribe, turn the bell notifications on, like the episode, and comment below. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's YesKingOliver. Take a look at the other videos to your side. And if you just want to listen to this podcast, you can do so on Apple and Spotify and most other platforms by going to talkwitholiver.com.